Hi everybody, Whitney Magnuson here, live with Unity Stamp Company. I am so excited to be hanging out with you today on a Wednesday. We have some amazing new sets that are perfect for watercoloring, and it's been a little minute since I've done some watercoloring just because I don't know why, but I'm kind of going back to my favorite medium and I'm going to show you how you can create some fun scenes just with some simple watercolor techniques. A couple of my cards are inspired by Echo Noble. She did some amazing scene cards. Mine are going to be a little bit different. They're going to be inspired by her with my own little twist. So maybe if she tunes in, she can give us some tips and tricks about how she created her look too, and we can just see how that differs. So, hi Dana and Sue. I'm so excited you guys are here. So, all week long we have cyber deals going on. So, it's 55% off site wide on stamps, excluding past and present memberships, 10% off supplies. We have doorbuster deals. Some of those items are as low as $1. Amazing freebies. Just lots happening that you have to go check out. It's so much fun to see everything on sale and get these amazing deals. And there's really no better time to treat yourself, right? All right, so let's go down to Project Cam and I'm going to show you these amazing new sets that we're going to be using. So here are the watercolor cards. So Echo Noble did one similar to this, and I wanted to try to recreate it because when I saw it, I was like, that's totally unattainable. I could not do that. She is crafty goals. And so I'm going to show you my method of doing it, and hopefully you guys can try it out too. And this is using the exact same set. And I just did kind of a sunrise sunset scene. So this amazing set is called Blessed Adventures, and it is awesome. So it comes with like mountains, a couple different trees, some critters, and I love that sentiment. It says, "Blessed are the curious, for they shall have adventures." So this is a huge set. I don't even have all the stamps in here right now because I have them like off to the side.
I forgot how big this one was.
Yeah.
And I set this one up, didn't we?
Yes, so this is a huge set, you guys. It is a great time to grab this one. And then from the same like artist, because we couldn't fit it all in one set, like this one set would have been really expensive and huge, is this woodland wreath. So this same artist we purchased all this art from, and then we made it into two sets, and so this has kind of a similar vibe to it with like the free-flowing lines, and I love again the font, and it just says happiest wishes, abundant blessings, and happy birthday. So I wanted to share with you these two sets because they really are perfect for watercoloring, and you will see. So I think we'll start off with just kind of this easy one. This is like literally a 2-minute card. And then we'll go into these like fun scene ones that like if you guys are looking at these and you're like, there's no way I can do that. Trust, if I can do it, you can do it. So let's just jump into it. A bunch of watercoloring today. I'm loving it. So for this one, I am just going to grab my watercolor sheet of paper. I have this one pre-die cut. This is a die by Gina Marie Designs. I think it's called the Wonky Stitch. And so I have that going on, and this is my Canson XL watercolor paper. And then the beautiful stamp set we are using is Woodland Wreath. I am obsessed with this set. It is so, so beautiful, so easy to watercolor, and even Copic color. I made a few other cards with Copics I'll show you after. Alright, so let's get to stamping. We are going to just grab my little mini Misty, open it up, and then we're going to just put our panel right inside here. I want a little bit of purple tape. Sometimes people ask me why I'm using purple tape and not a magnet, and it's because I just like purple tape better. So I'm just going to set this down so it's kind of set into place. And we'll grab this gorgeous wreath from our Woodland Wreath set. Absolutely obsessed with it. And I want this to be stamped kind of on the top half of my card. Alright, we got that all set. And then I am going to do a little bit of watercoloring. So I'm going to grab my VersaFine Clear ink. I think there was just a question if there's coordinating dies for this set, and there is not coordinating dies for this one. There are a few projects out there where it might look like there is, but some of our design team members, I think most of them have the brother scan and cut. And so when they stamp it, they can, I don't even know how it works, but they scan it through, and then the brother scan and cut knows where to cut it, and it looks like there's a die. But no die for this one. All right, so we're just stamping this down. How pretty is that, you guys?
Does this ink smear at all with watercolor?
No, this is a watercolor friendly ink. So when you're doing watercolor, you just want to make sure that your ink is watercolor friendly. This is my go-to for watercolor ink. Otherwise, a really good hybrid ink, you can use the Gina K Amalgam ink. You could use the Ink on 3 Blackout. But I just kind of like this ink best of all. So that's why I just kind of return to it every single time. So there that is, all stamped out. I'm going to just clean it off while we're at it. Why not, right?
What kind of ink do you use for the no-line watercolor?
So you can use a few different color inks for no-line watercolor. Gina K makes some really light-colored gray inks that are watercolor friendly. Otherwise, Ink on 3 has this ink where the color almost like pulls into it, and so it looks like no line. All right, so I'm just going to grab my sentiment, and all these sentiments in the Woodland wreath set are going to fit inside of there. So we made sure of that, and I really liked the sentiment Abundant Blessings. So we're just going to kind of set that where we think it's lined up. I'm going to grab a piece of acetate. This is one of our doorbuster deals, is this acetate, which I love it for stamping and lining up like this, or making shakers and stuff. But usually I'll just kind of line my acetate up with one corner, so it's lined up with this bottom corner. I'm just going to place it right over the top, and then we're going to stamp it down. So right now I can see, okay, that's going to stamp a little bit wonky where I have my paper right now. So now we can just kind of adjust our paper until we're liking the position, or I can move my stamp all together. Let me see what this is looking like again. Yeah, I'm just gonna move my stamp, I think. Sometimes I can kind of like adjust it by moving my paper, but this one, no. Okay, let's try it again. Let's see what you're looking like this time. Yes, that is perfect. I like that. All right, so now we know it's perfect. We like it, and we'll just stamp down. Love it. Abundant Blessings. We'll just pull this right on out, clean off our stamp. All right. So is there a question about a embossing buddy, Nick? I might have missed
Oh yeah,
something.
Connie wants me to send one of my homemade embossing buddies with her.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'm going to do just real simple watercoloring on here. This is a very kind of sketchy drawing, and so it doesn't really require like precise watercoloring, which I love. And so I just have a little water marker. I don't really keep water in mine because I find it kind of hard to control, so I just like dip water in it. And then we're going to use 2 greens and 2 pinks. So we're going to start with our dark green, and I'm just going to kind of on the leaves towards the bottom just place a little bit of that pigment. And then with a wet brush, we're just going to blend that out. And then while it's wet, we'll go in with the lighter color, kind of down at the center again. And the water just kind of pulls that pigment and helps blend it a little bit. So just super duper easy. And we'll just kind of repeat that process on all of our leaves. And these leaves are pretty small, so it's easy to do like a few of them at once and then kind of go back. All right, and we'll just kind of rotate around until we get it all colored up.
Ooh, Penny's got a, hold on one second.
Penny's got a question about which stamps all had matching dies or stencils. She took a bunch of notes, but she can't remember what she wrote down.
So if you want to know like the official list, you can email us at info@unitystampco.com, and then Kelly can look into that, because offhand, I'm not going to remember all of them. I just know I'm not, and I don't want to forget any. And so if you send us an email and just ask us, she can send you a list. That way you can check your collection and just make sure you have, you know, if you have the stamp set, you have the stencil and the die and things like that. So yeah, go ahead and send us an email and we will get that list out to you. Oh, Julissa's saying, don't worry, you need them all. Yeah, I know. Full set syndrome, except like I need all the stamps. All of the stamps. I'm like very much obsessed with like this set today. As soon as I started watercoloring it, I'm like, oh, it's been way too long since I've watercolored. Sometimes I feel like watercoloring, like it takes too long and that people might get bored watching it, but you know what? I just love it, so.
Deborah says you make Karen markers look easy. Her and them don't get along.
Oh, really? You know what? Try a different paper, because when I first started watercoloring, I was just using like some cheap, like I thought watercolor paper was all like equal. And it was just whatever I found that was in a pack at like Hobby Lobby or something. And I just could not get the markers to blend. It just all looked awful. And then I don't even remember who it was. Somebody introduced me to this paper, which is not even like that spectacular of a paper. It's just kind of like a middle of the road, the Canson XL. And I was just amazed how much better the colors moved. And so it really could be paper too.
Michelle says she sent a message about a missing order. Who can she reach out to help her with that?
You can go ahead and email us at info@unitystampco.com and we will get back to you. I haven't been at my computer for a couple of hours, so if you've messaged this morning, maybe past 10, I haven't been at my desk, so I check my messages again at the end of the day after my video, so we'll get you all taken care of. Thank you, Julissa, for sharing that. So I just did like a light pink, and now I'm just kind of doing some little dabs of dark. As you can see, this is just a very easy set to watercolor up.
Do you know what the name of the marker is, or the brush you're using to watercolor?
It's just a water brush. I don't even know. Pentel is the brand, I guess. I used to have a little paintbrush that I liked much more for watercoloring. I lost it, and so I've been using this, and it took a little bit of practice, but I am really enjoying it. I just don't put water inside of mine. All right, so there it is, watercolored up, super duper easy, you guys. And I feel like this needs some gold splatters, so let's do it up. I just have some gold watercolor. This is from my Gonzai Kiritaki watercolor set. And the gold just kind of like always lives right on my desk because I use it for splatters all the time. All right, we'll just take our paintbrush, kind of get some pigment going here, and add some splatters. So I don't think I want splatters over the words, so I'll just go like that.
Shauna's wondering what you're using. I think she means maybe the stamp set?
Oh yes, I can certainly share the stamp set again. I'm just gonna get these splatters on there. All right, till we're happy. So the stamp set that I'm using is Woodland Wreath. So we're using two by kind of the same artist here. Well, it is the same artist. We just had to pop them into two different sets because it was gonna be such a huge stamp set. And so I'm using this one first, and then we're going to create a couple of scenes with Blessed Adventures. All right, so this is pretty much dry. I'm just going to set it off to the side while we do our next step here. So I have some, I'm just going to remove this a second. The splatters are kind of bugging me. All right, so I have some just regular organza ribbon. And I hadn't tried this before, but it worked, and so I'm going to share it with you. So I always see people making cards with like a really pretty crinkly ribbon, and I didn't really know how they did that. And so I did some experimenting, and I'm going to take our organza, I'm going to get it wet with my spray, just water, and just kind of like scrunch it. And then as it's scrunched, we're just going to grab the heat tool, but keep an eye on it because when it's like scrunching, it's kind of melting too. So there's a fine line. I just wanted like a really pretty kind of scrunchy organza, so we're going to do it. And you just kind of repeat until you're happy with it. And all right, so now we have just like our scrunchy little ribbon. All right.
Penny's wondering, did you at one time use a gold pen of some sort to put a sheen or shimmer on your project, or was that someone else's live?
Yes, I sure did. I probably used, let me grab it. I know it's this one. I think this is back in stock too, Midas Touch Aqua Shimmer. So this you can paint, it has just a little brush, so you could paint over the top of your watercolor, or you can squish a little bit out of it on like an acrylic block or whatever and then splatter it. So a couple different uses for this. All right, so now that we have our cute little ribbon all scrunched, we're gonna just grab this. I'm just making sure it's kind of dry before I... All right, so I'm in a watercolor mode and I'm in a mood where I want to distress all the edges. Probably because I was inspired by Echo Noble and she does all this stuff, and so I'm just feeling it today. All right, we got that. We're going to grab a piece of craft cardstock, and this is 4.25 by 5.5. We're just going to end up putting this whole panel right on top of a white card base. But we're going to go ahead and tie our ribbon that we made.
Penny, it's called Aqua Shimmer from Nuvo. Aqua Shimmer pen.
Thank you, Nick. All right, so we're tying a little bow off to the side here. And I'm just going to kind of shove it so it's off to the left here. And then we're going to grab our panel and we're going to pop dot this up on top of our craft. And when I do a ribbon, especially one that's going to be a little bit bulkier like this, like it's pretty bulky now that we've made it wavy and things like that, we're going to just put foam tape on the top and the bottom, and then we're going to leave the center kind of loose so that ribbon doesn't get underneath our foam tape and create like a bump or anything in the card, and it kind of just lets that ribbon kind of flow a little bit. So if I don't like the exact placement, I can go ahead and kind of fiddle with it a little bit after.
Ooh, Tamara's joining late because she's decorating for Christmas.
Ooh, yeah, I am planning on decorating Saturday, getting our tree, hopefully, and getting it all up. It should be really fun. I always like doing that with our kids.
Angie's here. Hi, Angie.
Hi, Angie. All right, so we're just kind of fiddling with the bow here until we're happy with the way that it's looking. I'm just going to trim off a little bit of these tails. Like so.
Sue's really concerned if you ordered more foam tape.
I have not yet. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's getting down to the wire, you guys. I forgot. I got like all distracted. All right, so here's that first just super simple watercolor card. There's my first one, so you guys can see it turns out pretty much the same every single time. And then I'm going to just grab this little distress tool. And we'll do the edges on this too to kind of keep it all cohesive. So, sorry, my son just walked in. He got off the bus from school. We're making a couple of cards, Yev. Do you like it?
Yeah, I do.
Thank you. All right, so here this is. I'm going to just end up putting this on a white card base. But another fun way that you could use the same stamp set is by creating kind of like a little border. So I had these two panels like stuck together, and then in my Misty I just stamped all the corners. I colored it with Copics, and then I added these cute little letters. And this is from a doorbuster deal, these adhesive letters are, and it just adds a really cute little piece of dimension. So just a couple different ways you can use that set, but I really love the watercolor. All right, let's use that other set that is by the same artist. So we used Woodland Wreath already. If you're wondering, if you're adding to your wish list during this, this is a must-have. I love it. So we're going to use Blessed Adventures now.
I cannot wait to see this one stamped out. I haven't stamped it yet.
Yeah, it's a great one. So Blessed Adventures, we're going to make a couple of scene cards with this. So this is a card that is inspired by Echo Noble. She did kind of a scene like this, and I thought it was amazing, and was like, I need to try that out for myself. So we're going to do it. We're gonna do it, and it's not that bad either. All right, so we're gonna take our watercolor panel. This is 4.25 by 5.5, and this is Canson XL watercolor paper. And we're just gonna put that inside of our Misty and kind of adhere it in place where we'd like it to be. Now we're going to grab this little pine tree from Blessed Adventures, and this set is really fun and easy to watercolor because the lines are kind of like sketchy, and so you can do like really pretty messy watercolor techniques with it. So we're going to start with like 3 across the bottom, just kind of touching the bottom of our paper, and we're going to use a watercolor friendly ink. So my watercolor friendly ink is VersaFine Clair, and we're going to ink this up on our paper. Sometimes it takes a couple passes on that textured paper, but all right, so we got that. We're going to do one in the center. Perfect. And then one right over here. And the thing I learned about creating these scenes too is like trust the process. And so if you get started and like it starts getting ugly, like don't fret because you can fix it. There was several times I'm like, oh no, this is getting pretty ugly. What do I do? You just gotta push forward, you guys, and it gets better. All right, so we have our line of trees like that. So now we're gonna add 2 that are kind of in between there.
Julissa says she loves how organic those trees are. That's a really good way to
Yes.
describe those.
These are just very organic looking. I love the little, I feel like that's a good word for this whole set. It's like a very like hand-sketched realistic vibe, and I love that. It's not super cutesy. It is like legit real stuff, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I like the cutesy too, but it's fun to have the realistic to mix in there as well.
Yeah, those are my favorite type of stamps too, the more realistic feel to them. We don't have a lot like that right now.
No, we really don't. We really do not. All right. So there is our line of trees. All right. So right now it looks just a little sloppy, but we're going to make it look really fun and pretty. So we're going to do some watercoloring. So we're going to start with just watercoloring. Actually, you know what? I did the trees. So I'm going to just grab, this is like a little acrylic block. We have these in our shop if you don't have them. And then I'm going to grab my blue watercolor and I'm going to add a bunch of pigment to this. And then I am going to just add some water off to the side so I can blend.
Ooh, Karen's got a question about the Karen markers or
Sure.
Korean markers. Do you use Pro or Basic?
Markers?
Yeah.
Aren't they all called Pro? I don't know. Mine say Brush Marker Pro.
Oh.
All right, I'm going to just get my background a little bit wet with a paintbrush. just so our color will move a little bit more easily. And I'm just gonna kind of go down in between the trees. All right, so now I'm gonna grab that blue marker. We're gonna add a little bit up here. Like, don't freak out. It's gonna be fine, you guys. Just don't freak out.
Yeah, that is very vibrant. It's quite the sky, Whit.
And done. No, trust the process. Did I not tell you guys this? Okay, so we're gonna use a lot of water to blend this out and pull that blue down.
Julissa says you should use the mountainscape stencil.
Oh yeah, I sure could for the background. That would be awesome. All right, so I am kind of working this blue down in between the trees. You can go down over the trees. It's not really gonna matter because we're gonna have a dark color going on it, but you want the sky to kind of be poking out in between, so. All right, and you just kind of repeat this blending process until you like your sky. See, it does look scary to begin with, but it turns out pretty well. So now this little swatch that I put on here, we're gonna just kind of add some darker hues around our trees here. And this is just like really, like, you want it to be kind of like a messy watercolor. Like, you don't want it to be like crisp lines or anything like that, because it's just not the vibe I'm going for here.
Marlene says that reminds me of how I colored when I was a kid. A stark blue sky, stark blue for the sky.
Yep, right?
That reminds me of, I love seeing all Everett's projects he brings home. They're, you know, everything's just really intense.
Yep. So the great thing is about watercolor, you can always take away color if you're not liking it. But I kind of like the dark around the trees, and then we'll kind of go down and fix it. So I'm gonna just speed dry this, our sky layer, our first layer here. Flip the paper over, dry from this side, and then when we put it back down, it'll flatten. All right, so a lot of this is just like different layers to kind of get the vibe you're looking for. So yes, this is dry, but you can go back in and add some more blending and stuff if you'd like. And I just want it to be like pretty textured. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Hi, Jima. Jima's here.
Hi, Jima.
What kind of paper are you using again? Is it Kanza XL?
Canson XL
Canson.
watercolor paper. So I'm just adding a little bit more blue kind of around these trees. All right. So I said it's lots of layers just to get it looking right, but.
Do you know if these are the neon or basic 12 colors for the Karen pens?
So I'm using the basic, but I have the entire pack. So I have the neon colors too, I just really don't use them. Alright, so we're getting kind of a fun textured look. I'm liking this. So we are going to move on to our trees now. Let me just kind of clean up my water mess here. Alright, clean off our swatch of blue. We're done with that for now, unless we want to add more later after. So now we're going to go in and we are going to do our trees. So I'm doing two different colors of green. we're going to start out with my light one. And we're literally just going to kind of follow the branches and dot the color right on top of these branches. And I like to do like one tree at a time. That's just my preference. All right, now we're going to just grab our brush and we're going to blend this out. And kind of again with like that same, like we don't want it to be like crisp. We want these to be very organic looking, Julissa. All right, so now that that is down, we have our first color down. We're gonna go in with our kind of evergreen color, and we're gonna follow those branches and do the same thing. And then we'll go ahead and take our brush, kind of blot that color a little bit.
And he's putting the Karen markers on her Christmas wish list. Check twice so her kids know what to get her.
Yeah, they are really, really fun. So I don't like harsh lines or anything when I'm doing watercolors, so kind of off to the edge there, you see me add a little bit more water because I want it to be like more flowing, not like blob of green.
Carol, it's Canson watercolor.
All right, so we're adding in that first kind of light limey color right over the top of all of our branches. And right now it is, you know, we got to go back, we got to fix it all, so don't like fret. It's all a process. So we're just kind of blending out our light color. And we're going to go in with our dark. If you're wondering why I can go a little bit faster on this, it's because I've done this like a few times practicing, so. All right. We'll see if I like my method where I did the sky first or the trees first. We'll give you, because I think right now I'm going to have to fix my sky a little bit with some blue. But I'm not going to stop, we're just going to make it work. But my trees definitely got a little bit bigger. All right, so if you're noticing that you want a little bit darker anywhere, you can go ahead and do that. I kind of let it all sink in a little bit and then I go back. Kind of do a little bit more. Like so. Right. Just kind of blending this roughly.
Sue likes how they're blending into the sky like that.
Yeah, it's, you want like a smooth, well, I want like a smooth blend. So we'll see what I can do to make it a little bit of a smoother transition. I think that it can be done. All right. All right, we're gonna go back on this third tree and kind of add a little bit.
Was this all the same tree, or is there 2 tree stamps in there?
Nope, this is all the same tree. All right, so now for our sky, we're gonna have to fix that. My first time around, I did the trees first. And I thought maybe it'd be easier to do the sky first, but we're gonna have to do some fixing around here, boys. We always say boys at our house because we have like boy dogs, so.
Always boys.
Always boys at our house. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of go around the edges here and just see if we can blend that a little bit more. So that's actually working. Let's do a little bit of blue on our block.
Oh wow, the Karen Marker Pro comes in 72 color mega box and a set of 3 blenders.
Yep, that's the one I have.
Okay. What are the blenders?
They're just like water brushes, but I don't know. I find it easier just to use my own, but I have used them before. All right, so I think we did end up kind of fixing that a little bit, to be honest. Like, you just add water and you can get it all looking the way that you want it to look. All right, let's take a peek at our trees, see what we're liking about them. And I feel like they all look pretty good. All right, so now we're gonna do a gray, like kind of snowy bottom. So I'm gonna grab this is Cool Gray number 1. I think it's like the lightest gray in the set.
Christy says this is so pretty. She's so happy she ordered it last night.
Oh, good. It is such a fun set, and just like keep going, you guys. Like, don't get discouraged with your watercolor scenes, because it just takes a little bit to kind of get it, you know, get it all looking right. The grays don't blend out as well as I would like, but I'm making it work.
It's a nice shadow technique.
Thanks. All right. Do a little bit on here.
What was this set called again?
This set is called Blessed Adventures. All right, so now we're gonna have to add our brown for our tree bottoms, but I wanna like blend or dry this a little bit so it doesn't like pull into the gray snow. Perfect. We'll grab our brown for our tree trunks, and you can kind of add a few all right, so that is what we were going for. Let's make this snowy because it's kind of like 'tis the season, right? So this was gray on there. So I'm just gonna grab some of my Distress Spray Stain. If you have like a white acrylic paint, you can just do a little dab of that and add some water. Same thing. All right. We're just gonna go ahead and add some snowy splatters all over the top of this. Like, just like a ton. Am I getting splatters on the camera?
Not yet.
And different brushes will give like a different sized splat too. So you can try different ones. Like I'm gonna try my watercolor one and just see what happens here. Yeah, I like that a little bit better because I want it to be like real snowy. It's a snowstorm. All right. So there that is. I'm just going to set that aside so we can clean up our splats. All right. We're just going to go ahead and speed dry this. Looking good, you guys. So every time you do that, it's going to turn out a little bit different, but I kind of like that. All right, so now that we have our panel all done, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to cut off like 1/4 of an inch on each side because I want it to fit on an A2 card base.
Ooh, Jalissa says that it's fun to add a little bit of clear glitter to the white acrylic paint because the glitter should be used like hot sauce.
Yeah. Yes. All right, so let's just check our sizing here. Yep, I'm liking that. All right, so we got it all kind of trimmed down to size. Now we're going to grab one of our new Christmas word dies, and it is from this set here. Say It Big Holidays. So we're going to use the die set along with the coordinating stamp set. We're going to use Merry from this stamp set and then Christmas from this. So I loved how when Echo made a card like this that she actually took and cut out the background from her scene. I thought it was really fun and creative, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just place our shadow.
That scares me. Just take a big chunk out of it?
Yeah, we're going to take a bite out of it after we did all that work, you guys.
Ugh.
Okay, so let's run this through our machine. All right.
Kathy on YouTube says, beautiful job, Whitney.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you liked this. This is such a fun set, you guys. You're gonna love it. All right, so there's our little bite. And I already went ahead with the Christmas part. I went ahead and die cut that out. I used our 140 pound cardstock. It is a very thick, nice cardstock, as you can see. I love using that with word dies. All right, so we're just gonna grab our panel here and we're gonna just dress up these edges. Probably would have been easier if I would have done it before I chomped a bit out of it, but we'll make it work. I just think that distressing the edges for this kind of feel of a card is really fun. All right, so we got that. Then I'm going to grab our craft sheet of cardstock. This is 4.25 by 5.5, so it is the size of an A2 card base. We're going to just dress up all those edges nice. All right. So we're going to end up putting this on our craft card base. Just make sure I like how everything's looking, and I do. Perfect. So on the back of this, we're going to use a pretty strong adhesive. When you use watercolor paper, especially like we use so much water to create this too, I feel like it needs a strong hold, otherwise it like kind of looks warped and nobody wants that, right? So we're just taking a strong flat adhesive and putting it along our back. Suppose I really don't need to be cutting this precisely with the scissors either, but now I am, so I'm going to.
Commit.
All right, so we have that going on. So we're going to just take the backing off this. And I didn't forget the other corner. We're going to use something else for those little bits from our chomped out piece. All right, so now that we have that, we're going to grab, this is just like a tacky glue. And it has this little fine point here. This is a very like strong glue. We'll be getting this back in our shop soon because we're really liking it.
Do you know what that adhesive tape you were using is called?
It is Terrible Tape, and it is by Thermal Web. I really enjoy that tape. All right, so we have liquid glue kind of around there, and we are just going to adhere this to our craft card base, putting that down nice and flat. And I like to use these little blocks to kind of make sure it's all stuck down. All right, so we're going to end up popping this part up for a little bit of dimension. So we'll grab our foam tape that I now have to use sparingly because I forgot to order some.
I can't believe how much of that you've used since yesterday.
I make a lot of cards. Do you know how many cards I've made this month alone?
How many cards?
I bet nearly 100 cards this month. Just in the month of November, 100 cards. So if you guys are looking for inspiration on any of the new sets this month, I went live a lot. we've been celebrating all month long with our site-wide deals, and so usually by the time December rolls around, I am like just like rolling into the end of November, just trying to make it through because it's good work, but it's like so much.
And I always feel that YouTube videos are way easier to navigate than Facebook videos, so all the videos are on YouTube as well.
All right, so we got this all popped up with our foam tape, and we're going to be putting this right inside of its little home. Then we're going to grab our Christmas part, and we're going to grab our glue pen. This is just a Nuvo glue pen. And we're going to just dot some glue on the back. I like that you can just kind of like draw to put the glue on. Oopsies.
Penny says she's attended quite a few of your lives this past month. Yeah, I think I've seen your name almost every time, Penny. That's awesome.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that you're enjoying them. All right, oopsies, stuck to my finger. Let's stick this down. Let me use my handy dandy acrylic block to kind of set that in place for a second while we get our stamp ready. So I'm going to be grabbing, we use that die from the Say It Big holiday. These sentiments like all kind of work with it. So we're going to grab the little Mary from in there. And I already have it on a gridded block. And we're going to end up stamping that down on our panel. Just make sure it's nice and inked up. Put that off. And then we're going to do Mary just right up here. All right, so finishing touch on this card. If you have white Nuvo drops or something, that would work too. These are just like white little enamel dots that I have in my collection. I'm just putting a few of those around. But you can see every single time you do this, it's going to turn out a little bit different, but still good. So this one I did the trees first and then the sky, and this one I did the sky first. So both a little bit different, but both pretty much the same too. So there's our first scene, and we used the Lest Adventures. I love it. So now I want to show you how easy it is to make a mountain scene with this. The mountain scene takes just no time at all, and it looks pretty.
Do our dies work with the Stampin' Up! Die cut machine?
I would think so, yes. Yep, I don't see why not. All right, so here's that one. We're gonna move on to this one here. So this is super duper easy to make, really, really fun. So let's get started on this one. Using the exact same set again. So we're gonna just grab our Misty. Take our tree out. We don't need the tree anymore. All right, clean you up. All right, so let's go ahead and adhere the panel in like this. And then we're gonna grab the mountains from that set, which are right here. They're pretty sizable. And we're gonna stamp one in the middle like that, kind of towards the bottom, but I have about probably a 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. All right, we're gonna ink this up with a watercolor ink. So this is VersaFine Clair. Stamp down. All right, love it.
Oh, I love that mountain.
So now we're gonna just kind of shimmy this to one side here. And we'll clean off our stamp. And then we're gonna end up stamping kind of down along the bottom here. And this is off the paper just a little bit, so it's not like exactly all in a row. And we're gonna end up partial stamping this. And it's okay if it kind of goes over into that a little bit because it all kind of blends once we get it all watercolored up. All right, let's see. Clean you off. And now we're just going to slide our panel over to the other side and position our other mountain. So we just have essentially just kind of a row of mountain happening. Like so. So this is what we're starting off with. All right. Now we're going to go in with some watercolors. So this again takes a couple layers to get the look, and at first it's a little startling, but just give it time. So we're just going to start in with a blue, and I like how on this stamp image there's actually little bits that the artist put in there that's supposed to be a little bit darker. So I'm essentially just running the color right along all of those little lines that the artist put there for us and placing the color down. I'm going kind of on the peaks too to create a little bit of separation. All right.
Catherine, they're the Karen watercolor pens.
Yes, they're Karen watercolor markers. I'm using a water based marker today, and then I'm using a little paintbrush, and we're just going to grab our water and blend this out. So I'm really just kind of blending out in circular motions. Just kind of, we're going to end up placing this blue kind of all over. All right. Now that we got that blended out, we're going to go in with our gray colors and just kind of start blending this out. So we're going to kind of repeat that process with the gray right over where we put the blue, kind of in those darker hues and lines. On the peaks, that blue is still going to peek out, but it's going to blend in with our gray a little bit. And this is just a series of layers until you're liking the look. So far we got our blue down. Now we're going to blend out that gray with some water.
That gray really adds to that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it just kind of adds that little bit of dimension, and I like it. All right. So we're just blending, blending, blending. Now we can kind of go back in. You can add some darker areas. It's kind of nice once the paper is wet. It does just kind of pull the pigment along. All right, so I'm pretty happy with how these are looking. We're gonna roll with it, and we're gonna just kind of speed dry this before we move on to that sunset sky. So that is a really good question, Penny. She's asking what is in our sentiment kit. So essentially, we have a line of stamps called sentiment kits, and despite the name kit, or the word kit in it, it is stamps. So it is a huge stamp set that usually has one large focal image, maybe a couple of small images, and tons of sentiments. And so we've been doing those for several years now. And so Basically, they're kits that are very heavy on the sentiments, and they're going to be great for mixing and matching with your existing stamps. Connie, yes, I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper. So for doing this technique, you definitely want a watercolor paper because I'm using like a ton of water, and it will like pill the paper if you don't have a watercolor paper. I just smudged a little, and I want to get rid of it before here we go. I don't know what this is, but I will like it. Just take my sand eraser and get that out of there. Perfect. All right. So we're going to go in, we're going to create that sunset sky. All right, so we're going to go in with a gold color, and we're not going to freak out either. And we're just going to add kind of some gold like so.
Ooh, that is vibrant.
I said we're not going to freak out.
I'm freaking out, man.
And we're going to take our brush and we're going to start blending this. And you can use plenty of water with this. You want it to be nice and blended out around our mountains.
Is that one of the neon colors?
Nope, this is just gold. Just gold. Oopsies. Got a little bit of blue bleeding in, but we're going to fix it. It's going to be fine. All right. So now that we kind of have this yellow working for us, we're going to go in with a little bit of pink across the top. Like so. We're going to grab our water and start blending this towards our yellow. I want a little bit more pink in mine, so we're going to do just that. Just adding the pigment right on the top. It's going to blend out just fine into our yellow. All right. Just gonna grab some pink on a little block here, so we can go ahead and I want to add, like, I want this to be a little bit orangier and less like yellowy, so we'll just add some pink into there. Sorry, my dogs are insane.
Luann's wondering why you don't put water in your water brush.
I find it a little bit hard to control, and I am like a heavy-handed person. So I find that if I just have water off to the side, that I do much better. Otherwise, I find I'm like squishing the water out, and I get way more water than I really wanted. So, all right, so that is blending out pretty much how I would like it to be. So I'm just gonna grab some water on a plain brush now, and we're gonna just add some water splats like kind of right over the top of this, because as it sits on the watercolor, it's gonna kind of give it a fun texture. All right, and then we're just gonna speed dry this a little bit. So when I do full watercolor panels, I like to dry the front really low. I'll flip it over, I'll do the back, and then flip it back to the front, and heat set so it flattens out. And you can kind of repeat that process. We used a lot of water, so it only makes sense. All right, so here's our finished look, just kind of like a fun sunrise, sunset, whatever you want to call it. Clean that up. Alright, so now we're going to grab this panel and we're going to stamp our sentiment right on that sky. In our mini Misty. So the sentiment is from the same set we used before. It says, "Blessed are the curious, for they shall have adventures." And I love that. So I'm just...
I love that font you picked too.
Yeah, me too. There was a few comments, people saying it was hard to read, but
Oh, really?
I actually really like it, so I don't feel like I would change anything. Alright, so we're going to grab our acetate. We're going to do our old acetate trick again to line up our stamps and make sure we like it.
I know it's a really thin script, so if you're really light with your pressure when you stamp it, that makes a big difference.
Alright, so there is our little acetate sheet right over the top. Just gonna collect that. Alright, grab our ink and do our first little stamp down. Wow, that is pretty perfect, if I do say so. What luck. What a fun surprise. Okay, so we're just gonna ink that up really well, and with thin script, you just want a very light touch. It's better to just kind of go over it several times and like push it down and get it looking like kind of like warped. I don't know how to explain that. Is that how you would say it, Nick?
Yeah. I just noticed if you push too hard, everything just kind of
It
gets...
kind of like squishes.
Squishes, yeah. You can't see the detail as much.
Alright, so there's that all stamped out. We're going to do the same thing on this one. We're going to cut off just a little bit on the edges so it fits on our A2. I'm just kind of measuring like with my heart.
Was that a full sheet of acetate you used?
Yep. We are selling packs of them as a doorbuster deal right now in our shop. I think there's like 7 or 8 panels in one. I like them for shakers and I like them for lining up my stamps. So let's just see this. Yep, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so we're going to just add a little bit of distressing on the edges. I feel like it fits the vibe. So if you don't have one of these, you can use your scissors or whatever you have. I just happen to have one of these and I really like it.
What are they called?
I think just distress tools. This is Making Memories, but I know Tim Holtz has one. Yeah. Alright. Get that out of our way. Let's pop this up on that panel, give it a little bit of dimension. Use the rest of my foam tape. Did it? Oh, here it is. I was looking to say, did I use it all? Let's see if we even have enough foam tape for this card. Might have to go skimpy on it.
I'm nervous for you.
Yeah, you should be. Oh no.
Oh.
Oh no, you know what? Nope, I'm not accepting this. I am not accepting defeat. We are gonna make this work, you guys.
Well, good luck with that.
We are not accepting defeat.
Wow, you are utilizing all of it.
I told you. Foam tape is not cheap. Yo. This is a life hack. It's foam tape. And I'm just gonna make it work. Which I don't see why it wouldn't. Alright. It's pretty much the end of the line for me and my foam tape.
Hey, buddy.
We're still alive, honey.
Dad? Hello?
If we ask what Arya had for breakfast, then you have to tell us what you had for lunch.
Okay, I'm trying to think.
Okay.
We had it was carrots and it was
Right.
so and it was
I'm just going to distress this edge.
it was also
And this is what we are working with. So there's the first one I did and the second one, but they are both super fun. I used the stamp set. We've been making watercolor scenes with Blessed Adventures. And I did this fun tree one, so if you want to see how that one was done, that's with Blessed Adventures. And then by the same artist, we did another set because we couldn't fit it all into one. It would just be too big. These fun little cards here. And this is just with a wreath, and it has interchangeable sentiments that fit inside of the wreath. So just a couple different sets here. Yeah, that was really fun. Abby, I'm almost done with live. Do you want to come say goodbye to everybody? Help me say goodbye.
goodbye.
Come up here. All right, so we're going to just thank everybody for hanging out with us today. That was pretty nice of them to come hang out with us. So thank you guys so much. I hope that this inspired you, and if it did, I would love to see your rendition of it over on the Unity Show and Tell page. Ew, don't smell that. And we have our cyber deals happening. Happening all week long. So they're going to go through Friday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have 55% off stamps. We have 10% off supplies, doorbuster deals, and new arrivals. So a lot happening, a lot you want to go check out. So go treat yourself and join me again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time for another live video. Bye, everybody. Want to say goodbye, Evie? Bye.
Goodbye.